Right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. It is definitely a Monday, and every Monday at this particular time, what we do right here, it is a debating night on Debate 411, where we bring all those issues on the table and get to talk about them. Of course, honest conversations and real ones, with an aim of getting amicable solutions to those particular issues. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. Now, today on the program, we're talking about a very important issue, and that is the fourth industrial revolution. Now, our questions tonight are going to be focused on the issues of the importance of industrial revolutions, the good, the bad, and the evil of technological advancement in our day-to-day activities at our workplaces and everything that we do. Is revolution a good thing, or is it a bad thing? Those are the kind of questions we'll be asking ourselves on the program. So let me introduce our panelists on the program. Today we have Madam Josephine, who's the DG Ministry of Youth and ICT. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Eugene.
And it's an honor to have you on the program.
Oh, please.
All right. Also with us, I was told by a person who trained me, ladies first all the time. Merab Twahirwa, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having us around.
Right. And of course, Jimmy, who is the CEO Imaginet Rwanda. Thank you for joining us, Jimmy.
Thank you for inviting us.
Right.
Eugene.
So the World Economic Forum is just around the corner. And of course, this conversation will also be focused on during this particular event. But the concerns that many people want to understand is, when we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, we have skipped 1, 2, and 3. And so it's important for us to understand from you, first of all, how do you understand this revolution that we call the fourth revolution? How important is it? Let's start from there.
Thank you, Eugene. Speaking from the policy perspective, yes. We see the fourth industrial revolution as an opportunity. So if maybe as you are aware, the new Smart Rwanda Master Plan is basically towards what the rest of the world is also doing, engaging into this industrial revolution, whereby it's mainly targeting to provide a platform. This Smart Rwanda Master Plan is providing a platform whereby we want more participation of the private sector in the ICT sector, so to achieve the knowledge-based economy, like we say. But this will be through more innovations in the sector, positioning ICT as the key export of the country by then. So it's really an important aspect in the economy, and we want more Rwandans to participate. You want more Rwandans to participate. Jimmy is here, already taking his shape or his position in this participation. Jimmy, for you, what does this really mean for you, the fourth industrial revolution? Are we looking at a good thing, or are we looking at a beast that will swallow us in the process of us praising it?
Well, from where I am as a service provider, I'm looking at a beautiful thing. We are looking at the ability to sell convenience to our clients. Imagine taking advantage of the Internet of Things. You're sitting in the comfort of your sitting room. You're able to pull money from a bank account to your mobile phone, and you're able to maybe subscribe for pay TV. You're able to send it to a friend up country. So imagine that beautiful possibility, because we are seeing the convergence of technologies.
Yeah. So you look at it as a big opportunity.
It's a big opportunity.
And you have to sneak in the word imagine. Merab,
yes.
As a lady, of course, taking part in these things that most ladies have shied away from, but of course the good thing is we're seeing more and more of them coming in to take their position in technological issues. What does this mean to you, the fourth industrial revolution?
I look at the fourth industrial revolution as an opportunity, especially to people, to us who are in the private sector, in the business side. We are looking at how can we develop more products and services for our clients. How can we make life of our consumers more efficient? How can we be able to earn more money from this fourth industrial revolution? So as a private sector, and as a woman as well, I look at a way how these things are going to solve some of the women's problems, where a mother used to walk 5 kilometers to actually go to the hospital, and now you just need to sit at your computer and get everything sorted with your doctor. You can be able to track all the diseases of your kids, to track when he's born, when you're raising the kid, all the things, when you have to take medication, all these things are actually there to help you as a consumer. So as a business person, these are things we are bringing to our customers, and we're looking at massive, where we can actually bring it more and reach to the rural areas, not just the people in the city.
Because when you talk of those issues like the health part, most people sitting back at home, or some of them will always say, this is the responsibility of our governments to be able to provide us with this kind of basic necessities. But are those governments taking this kind of thing seriously to ensure that that facilitation, when it comes, if we are talking about the health of our mothers and children back in the villages, I'll bring you in on this one, Madam Josephine. The place of the government in promoting this revolution, in putting the fertilizer so that it even happens faster. What is your place there?
Well, I think the government already started way before. If I may take you back, like 15 years back, when we started envisioning the nation to be smart, the Vision 2020, starting with putting in place legal and regulatory frameworks to enable ICT to develop. And after like 5 years came the what was called NICI 1 and NICI 2 came as accelerating the ICT infrastructure deployment. And then the NICI 3, which introduced the usage of ICTs for service delivery, and then the Smart Rwanda Master Plan, which aims at really making Rwanda smart and populated with smart Rwandans. So with that, we look at all sectors to introduce ICTs in whatever they do. We have 7 key pillars, whereby the sectors like health, like Merab just mentioned, education, agriculture, finance, women and youth, empowerment through ICTs, and others. So it's something that we really take into consideration, and we're trying to put ICT as the key enabler by allowing the environment to welcome like the business and the innovators to be able to really create solutions using ICTs.
But in most cases, they would say they are on their own. They feel this is our initiative. We have to do it ourselves. If there's anyone who's coming to pat us on the back, probably it would be a few private sector institutions or some individuals out there. But they're asking for the strong involvement of government, strong involvement in terms of policies that will enable, encourage the bringing in of some of those elements or equipment or things that would enable them to do their job of inventing and creating and being imaginative. They feel a little bit of the absence of government.
I think they shouldn't, and I feel it's not the same feeling we're getting, because as all the efforts are around to enable the people, so like the key targets or key enablers to achieving the Smart Rwanda, we look at broadband for all and digital literacy for all. There you'll see the rollout of the 4G around the country, though not yet 100% coverage, but we're really looking at giving access to more and more Rwandans. And on top of that, we're working on a digital talent policy where we look at having more Rwandans digitally literate to be able to consume, use, and create using ICTs. And with that, also the government is working on digitizing itself, like providing smart services, enabling like the example my colleague just gave, to be able to transact using technology, access services through Irembo. I'm quite sure you've heard of it. But also paying taxes, be able to do businesses, and like the government be able to use technology to provide services to its citizens, but also to the businesses.
when she mentions that, I'll come back on the deeper part of the trainings, because it's also very important with this coming of technology. We need people who are smart and able to use them, but also there's a risk of the seclusion of those who can use and those who cannot use. We'll talk a bit about that. But Jimmy, for you, as a service provider, as you mentioned earlier on, let's talk of your own assessment of the key players in enabling the realization of this fourth industrial revolution. Who are the people who, in your own opinion, you feel have not been playing the ball the way you would feel we need to have that, so that we are pulling the synergies together and ensuring that all of us, in terms of stakeholders, government, non-government, private NGOs, and all those are taking their place in this journey?
Thank you, Eugene. I think to a large extent, the government has done its part, but the question is, are the future generations being prepared to use these new solutions that we're bringing on board? Are they prepared to critically think and innovate? Yes, the infrastructure is in place. But when you look at our education system,
Yes.
I think there is still a lot to be desired to improve and prepare actually my child to be able to take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution solutions that are coming in.
But she said they're doing all that. In fact, they started way long before even you service providers even thought about it.
No, we have Positivo here, right?
Yes.
My dream is, can we have a computer in the hands of every student instead of a textbook? You have paper here, we should have an
Digital.
iPad.
Digital.
Can Eugene,
See what happens after the show. It's digital.
you
Right.
know, that's something that I'm dreaming of.
Yes.
Can we have smart classrooms? Can we have, you know, possibilities of our kids at a young age being comfortable with these tools? Then they are the people who will sustain these solutions, even innovate to better solve
We'll
their
come in. She's
problems.
raring to come and respond to that. You can go ahead. Just respond to him.
What I wanted to say is
Yes.
that is coming. It's there already. So the ICT for Education master plan was approved recently,
That's interesting.
whereby we look at having smart classrooms, like you say. The curriculum was revised for the primary and secondary schools. So now we're going to have more creative way of teaching and learning, whereby the students will be trained to really learn by doing, not just like they used to say, study. Instead of studying, they will be learning, so they will be able to do. So that's coming, so no
that's
worries. I
exciting to
think
know.
So
we're getting every bits and parts in place, so
Right. The concern that many people always ask before we bring in Merab is yes, we have these plans, but have we prepared the trainers, you know, to be able to offer that much needed training for these kids? Because I remember when we switched from French to English as a language of instruction, we had to go through a process of training the teachers who would train these children. So as we talk of this great, nice ambition or an ambitious plan, what have we put in place to ensure that we have the trainers who will be able to execute this?
that's also covered, because the teachers are also being trained, so to be able to deliver in line with a plan and strategies in place. So no worries. I think we just need to be optimistic and try our best. I'll call for the private sector also to join in this journey. Yeah, making things much easier, cheaper, and accessible.
So the training has started?
Yes.
How is it happening? Before we go to Merab, I want to talk to Merab a bit, but
So,
let's finish this.
From what I recall, the Rev, Rwanda Education Board, they do have ICT department, whereby they have a team of trainers who go and train other trainers who will be training their peer teachers. So it's a continuous and ongoing process of training.
Right. Merab, Industrial Revolution, is it a curse or a blessing?
Before I get to the curse and blessing,
Yes.
I just want to add to what Josephine is saying about the ICT and education. The good thing about the Industrial Revolution, the fourth one, is learning is global. You don't have to be seated in a class with a teacher to actually do the learning. You can do your own learning at your own time, at your own pace.
Yeah.
You know, the velocity and the volume of information that is actually there is a lot. It only takes the courage of someone to get up, get your computer, have the access to internet, and access everyone's information. It's no longer about where you are staying. It's about how you can access that information. So if we can have those laptops to everyone's kid, like every kid in school, and have the internet connectivity, the learning will be much easier. Because the teacher will teach me 20% of what I'm supposed to learn. The 80% is a student to take the initiative to actually learn all those things.
Right. So you feel that's a blessing.
That's a blessing.
But for some will say this is a curse, because how am I supposed to pay these huge amounts in school fees and yet 80% of the learning will be my own initiative? The teacher will only give me 20%. Education is still that expensive.
Yeah.
These are some of those concerns that we have to really look into. How do you look at that yourself?
I think it's not about the 20% and 80%, because learning is a process. It's not what the teacher actually teaches you in class. It's the way the basic things that you get in class and how you keep improving every day. Because as you see, education, how it was in 90s, it's not the way it is right now. If you would just stay with what the teacher told you yesterday, it's no longer relevant today. So with the information, key is actually getting people have access to that information, and the rest is up to a person to be able to improve his or her own capacity to get to where other people are. Otherwise, we're all global players. We're able to take part in every part of the world as long as you're able to have that access to information.
Right, and when you access this information, there are those who will say, how do we filter that? Because yes, you have the freedom to access all that information, but how much of that is good information? How much of that is bad information that will, cause problems? Those who are accessing this information, and they get, radicalized. We have terrorism going on right now, and some take advantage of this kind of technology to be able to pass on this kind of information. So if you think of Jimmy, you're part of the people who, not sending the radicalization messages, but I'm saying the service providers when it comes to internet and access to these things. How do we control that? Because this is one thing that someone back at home is worried. Now we have access. The kids are working with the phones. They can access internet. But how do we control this and ensure that we don't let our kids lose, even adults?
Maybe just before I go into that, I want to assure you that our kids are smart. The teachers should facilitate them with these technologies and just let them be in a controlled environment. That means, over and above getting to worry about what they will see or what they will watch and hear, we need to also present to them the good material that we want them to access, that will shape not only their morals, but also their academic excellence. And that's the place of the teacher, but then not to limit, if I give my son a laptop and internet and I'm like, do for me these assignments in Khan Academy, over and above what the teacher at school has given, then it's still a controlled environment, okay? And my question is, how long for are we going to protect them? The internet, at whatever age, will open them up to all this information that is out there. Instead, the question should be, what are we doing to actually mold their morals when they're still young? What information are we exposing them to, even using these gadgets when they are still young, so that when they grow up, they know what is wrong from what is right? Yeah.
So you have no worry there?
I don't think I have a worry. The question is, do we know our role in the classroom setting? Do we know our role as parents back home? Do we know our role in controlling this environment?
In your opinion, what would be the answer to that question?
It's a joint effort. Yes.
You think we know our roles?
I believe we do, because no parent would want to expose their kid to fire, right? So maybe do we have the time?
And just to add to that,
Yes.
there's always pros and cons.
Yes.
But the problem, we shouldn't fear
Yeah.
digital revolution
No.
just because we have cons. We have to think about how to mitigate those cons, but we think more of how to take the opportunities in those the good things that we are looking at. We cannot forget the bad things that can happen with the revolution, with digitization, with everybody having a mobile phone. It's getting crazy that you sit and no one is talking to someone else. Everybody's on the phone, checking your friends, you know. It's okay. How you manage that is another issue. But people having access to information, that is the first thing that we should be looking at.
And we should not worry about this other con. What other cons would you look at this industrial revolution as bringing to us as humans?
I guess in future, not just in future, even in current status right now, is the high-skilled people are much more demanded right now, more than the low-skilled people. So it's a demand that everybody is looking for those people. We're looking for software programmers, we're looking for data analytics, we're looking for 3D modelers. We don't have enough people of those that we're looking at. And we forget about the low-skilled jobs that are there. So I guess if we are looking at how all stakeholders need to evolve into how we can be able to take opportunities in the industrial revolution, we need to look at talent. How are we going to be able to help everybody, not leaving anyone behind? And I hope the government is working on the policies so that everyone gets involved. Otherwise, if we don't do that, there will be a real big society concern where people will be on 90% skill, others will be on a 10%. And that will create chaos in the society.
Right, a very important point actually she brings out. That gap, as we talk of bridging the gap between those who are rich and those who are poor, but there's also that skill gap that this revolution creates. If we're not careful, it will definitely be open out there, that we do not have the skills, and that is why we have not been hired. We don't have the skills to operate this, that is why we are out here unemployed. And this brings out that particular chaotic situation in society. She says she hopes the government has worked on a policy that will mitigate that. Have you?
Well, maybe before I answer to that question, I wanted to give my position.
Right.
I think it's a blessing. The Industrial Revolution is a blessing. In terms of the way it's urging the society to adapt and change. Let's say how we produce our products, various way we deal in the business, the way we manage our businesses, or even the governance.
So it's pushing for
innovation.
More innovation.
And if you don't, then you stand a risk of being left out.
Yes.
And this is what we're talking about.
So people really need to learn and keep up with the pace.
One of those who can't, based on...
So that's what...
this is the question.
Merab was mentioning high-level skilled people being more needed than lower skilled people. But this also calls for everyone to really try the best to be up there.
Josephine,
and then,
all of us cannot be this. Even in class, not all of us were number one.
Sure.
You know? So what do we do about those who are not able to?
But truly,
yes,
it's not that everyone is going to be a programmer or everyone is going to be an engineer, I don't know, material scientist or 3D printing, things like that. But you can be a quality designer. You'll be a brilliant, creative or innovative young person who has good ideas and have next to you a good programmer who will take that idea and make it into a product that will scale and become a business later on.
So you coexist.
So everyone will have a role to play. Yeah.
So what you're saying is Merab's concern is not a concern.
It's not just about the concern.
Yes,
you
it's
know?
about what?
It's I think we shouldn't fear the revolution. We shouldn't fear dictation.
But we should be realistic.
We should be
on what
realistic
will come out of it.
Yes. And we need to take mitigation right now. However, talking about the low-skilled people, I think digitization is going to help their jobs become easier. because if I have a car that is automated and I can tell where the problem is, it will be easier for me to fix it. So that means I'm using technology to help the low-skilled person to exactly know, I just need to put in an extra pump. This is where it has been, you know. So it's going to help them in a way, but I think we need to think about it. That's what I'm saying.
We should not sweep it.
We should not think like it's going to be okay, everything is
Do you think
okay.
that's what she's doing right now? Not being diplomatic?
I think that's what they're
That's
doing.
what she's doing.
That's our role.
Then you,
And actually,
Yes.
Eugene, from what you just said and what you mentioned earlier, technology is not going to make people lazier or keep apart
Yeah.
some people.
Yeah.
In one way or another, technology helps. So you might be feeling like, let's say, in classroom, you're not that strong, but with technology, you can have a learning way that could really help you get the material and then be able to have the knowledge as your counterpart.
so it doesn't make you lazy.
No.
When we come back from the break, we'll dig deeper into that. Let's, of course, ask this question again and again because it's a very important one. What do we do with those who will be less skilled, who cannot be able to adapt to the changing pace of, you know, the coming in of technology? Jimmy, I haven't forgotten you. When we come back, we bring you back in the conversation.
Thank you, Jim.
Stay with us. This is Debate 411. We are definitely talking about the issue of industrial revolution. The question we're asking is it a curse or a blessing? Definitely talk to us. All you need to do is tweet us at Debate411 or at Eugene Anangwe. And when we come back, the hashtag is that simple one. Hashtag Debate411. I'll sample some of your comments. Do stay with us.
Noneho radiyo nanjye ndayizanye rwose. Nyiriwe mukaruko nanjye nguze radiyo noneho rwose.
Urakoze mugabo mwiza uzanye radiyo nuko mugabo mwiza Imana ishimwe ntabwo ubu nzongera kujya kwivumba kwa Rutayarara. Shyira kuri radiyo bita Reye FM numvise igira ibiganiro byiza bavuga ko ivugira kuri 94 n'ibice bitatu. Ndimo ndayumva Imana ishimwe ko watumye
94.3 Royal FM.
Kuva tariki ya 9 kugeza ku ya 16 Gicurasi uyu mwaka 2016 ni icyumweru cyahariwe gutanga ubufasha mu by'amategeko. Ibikorwa bijyanye n'iki cyumweru biteganyijwe mu mirenge yose y'igihugu ari byo gukusanya imanza za gacaca zitararangizwa no kumenya impamvu zitararangizwa, kunganira mu nkiko abana n'ibindi byiciro by'abantu bakeneye kwitabwaho kurusha abandi nk'abagore batwite, abonsa, abarwayi barwaye indwara zidakira, abafite ubumuga n'abageze mu za bukuru. Hari kandi ubukangurambaga ku kurangiza imanza ku neza no kwigisha abaturage amategeko akunze gukoreshwa. Abafite kopi z'imanza bakibitse kandi nabo barasabwa kuzimenyesha imirenge. Ngaho rero tuzitabire ku bwinshi izi gahunda zijyanye n'iki cyumweru, bityo dushimangira uruhare rwacu mu kubaka ubutabera buhamye, umusingi w'ubusabane, umutekano n'amajyambere arambye.
Buriya kamere y'umuntu uri muri business ni ukubyuka buri munsi atekereza uko yatera imbere kurushaho, akabifatira umwanya, agatekereza ku bushobozi afite, agasesengura uko byakorwa, agashaka abo yakwifatanya nabo, kuko burya business igenda neza kurushaho iyo ufite abafatanyabikorwa mu byumva kimwe. Airtel, twikorere business.
Right, the coming of technological advancement is what we're talking about right on the program. How important, how good. Of course, if we have the bad and the evil, let's not be shy to talk about that. That's what we want to hear tonight on the program. Tell us your concerns and, of course, even your happy moments about these issues. Would love to hear them right on the program. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. And my guests in the studio, we have Madam Josephine, DG, Ministry of Youth and ICT. Merab Twahirwa is here. Of course, she's the software product manager at Pivot Access. Thank you for joining us. And of course, Jimmy, the CEO, Imaginet Rwanda. Now, before we went for the break, we were looking at the pros and cons. And of course, this is where it gets interesting because most people want to also hear what are the bad sides of this thing, because everything that has a good side, there should be some bad side of it that can also be organized or be able to be controlled. But let's look at those concerns that people have. One of them that is number one is the issue of cutting of jobs. And there is research that 5 million jobs are expected to be lost by 2020 to technology. Those who used to work at certain farms, now you do not have to do this job because we now have a harvesting machine that Merab invented. So when they see Merab on the road, they say, you're the one who made us lose our job. Some people at banking places or any institution, you're told now this machine will do that job. You know, if we talk of the traffic lights, the robots in other countries will control traffic. So that means some cops are going to lose their jobs. And this is where people say, that is the curse in Industrial Revolution. Jimmy, before we went for the break, you were a bit silent. Let's talk to you. Tell me, what do you look at, how do you look at this? You see it as a concern, a genuine one, or just, you know, not really much to think about?
It's a key concern that we all need to look at. And like Merab was sharing, what's the place of the government, what's the place of the private sector and the civil society in actually embracing it, taking it on, and finding lasting solutions? I think we're coming at a time where I want to believe that in each one of us, we are created with talent. We are coming to a time where you will have to go back inside you and then you get to know what was I created for. And that's what will define who you are. And if you take time to learn more about it and perfect it, that's what will help you to stand out. Then, of course, technology will come in as an enabler to take you to the next level. And that's what I think we need to start thinking about with the government, with policy, to see for the next how many years, what are we doing to prepare our youth? What are we doing to prepare the women? What are we doing to prepare the kids to be who they can be, their best? And then we harness that. We support that. If it's an entrepreneur, then how do we get a mentor to help them even at a tender age? Thinking of kids-preneurship. How can we have kids come here and showcase their ideas? I don't know whether you know that on Thursday, we are launching the first fabrication lab in Rwanda. And this is with 3D printing, this is with software, state-of-the-art software. We are looking at ideas meeting digital printing. I was there and they were showing me a chair that was printed with the 3D machine. And that's amazing, of course, for Rwanda, where we are used to Gachinjilo. How can we now expose these minds to such state-of-the-art technology? And then, of course, we'll have somebody who is good at just design. This Gachinjilo guy will come and say, okay, you know what, I have this idea, I want this shape, and we'll have a Merab who is good at software development, we'll produce it. Then we'll have somebody else who is able to feed it into the printer. So can we have idea generation? Can we have people who are good at what they are doing? So division of labor and specialization comes in.
Realistically speaking, though, most companies want to cut on the costs of the number of people they're employing. They would say, I don't have money to employ a cameraman, a reporter, and a video editor. If you know how to do all those things, you're good to go. Now, realistically speaking, this
and that's an opportunity.
This is the dream. This is what we want. This is the picture of how it should be like. Like we need a Merab department, we have an Anangwe Gachinjiro department, we have the 3D modeling person department. But most companies say we want to cut on our costs. So we will want this person who can be able to design these things and do it. And that's the fear. The jobs are going to be lost.
Now, how do we encourage the Anyangwe department and the Merab department to consider making one corporate that is going to provide a solution to the client. You know, how do we foster that? What does it look like? How do we come out of our shells of wanting to do me, my thing? And, you know, like in the automotive industry, there are those who are good at making tires, there are those who are good at making wipers, just that. And they're making wipers, but they all come together to produce a car. So how do we come to that level?
He has a question. Can you answer that?
Mr. Nangwe, I think you're just looking at the negative side of losing jobs.
Tell me the positive then. How do you deal with it?
There's a positive side of creating more jobs.
How?
Innovation.
Let's talk about it.
How many will you be innovative?
It may be.
There are those who wait and say, you come up with the car, I will be the driver. I'll be the chauffeur.
There are those who are going to wait,
Yes.
and there are those who are going to be involved. Do you want to be on the side of those who are going to be waiting, or do you want to be on the side of those who are going to be involved? In past, there were some jobs that are not actually there. Jobs of data analytics. You know, those kind of jobs were not there. Jobs of artificial intelligence that people are doing right now, we cannot forget that actually there's job creation through this digital innovation.
But those who argue and say, as we create that, we are losing this one.
Let me just
by solving this, we are creating another
Let me
problem.
give you an example of something I saw. There was this ship that used to ship a lot of containers. And sometimes they would not know which container has more weight than the other one. Some will go with 50, others will have 100. So you find a ship is moving with less capacity than it's supposed to take because the containers are just there, but you don't know how much weight it has. So if I create something that can actually measure the container, automated. So the moment I touch a container, I know it is 25, so I know I have to add in 75 to actually reach to 100. The person who has automated is now no longer just selling the automotive system, is now earning on every container that I carry, and I earn the percentage of how much you are going to lose. The person who was shipping is earning to take full capacity of how much he was taking initially. So it's a win-win situation of where, as a person who owns a ship, for example, I can take 4 containers that I know are 100% covered. As a person who created an automated system without having people to actually carry the containers, I can also pay. It's a new business model. Other than just selling a machine to a shipman, I'll now be charging per every transaction for every container that I'm making. So let's not look just on this negative side of things. Let's look on the positive side.
But also still remain realistic.
Yes.
On what is bound to happen and how we are bound to deal with that. Let's bring in Madam Josephine, because if we can, because at the end of the day, if we're looking at that solution and the concern is, but as you solve this, you're creating a problem, because even Merab mentioned earlier on, if I have an automated car which is computerized, I don't need a mechanic who would come and tell me what's the problem. If it is the Imaginet system, the dashboard will write that. So there's a mechanic who used to come and check this. Now he's jobless. And at the end of the day, if you even look at our studio right now, we have cameramen. Now we have a revolution where we have automated cameras, remote controlled. You just need 2 people in the control room. They just press the buttons. Now that means you lose these people. You tell them, go home. We don't need you anymore. So how do we deal with this, even as we say this is good for us?
Well, thank you for that question. While the two were intervening, I was thinking, how do we define innovation? So is it something that happens and then stops? I don't think so. Innovation goes on. So today, like the example of the cameraman and the woman, so if they are like no longer here, we're just using automated systems, well, what will they be seated doing? Are they going to sleep? Or are they going to start thinking, now I'm jobless, what do I do? What are the opportunities around me?
You can say, let me go to a farm where we will be, pouring fertilizers or
I don't think
insecticide in this farm, but then they come up with that innovation, a machine that does that. What do they do?
One example that is just coming to my mind right now.
Yes.
See, yesterday it rained, and now people can't travel to the southern province. So how can technology help? So are we doing all we can to prevent or to, forecasts. There are things, so many things that we are not yet able to control or at least explore or exploit. So there's still a lot to innovate, a lot to do. Just personally, I think as creativity is not limited as is innovation.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my key concern is, what do we do with these people who have these concerns? They're watching us right now, and probably just a few days ago, they got the letter, you know, termination of your contract because we will not be needing you. Now we have this machine that will do what you used to do. These are the people who are pointing and saying, I hate technology with all my heart because it made me lose my job.
And that's the thing.
How do you motivate these people and tell them, you know what, there's still life even after this?
So personally, I think when technology comes in that way, it's really easy to hate it or feel frustrated. However, there's also, like we say, there's a negative side and a positive side. That will be the negative side the person is facing, but there's a negative side, a positive side, sorry, on the other hand. That's how can now use this thing that kicked me out and overcome it. Let's say you did accounting and there's a software that can do all your job.
Yes.
Either you can do more with your knowledge in accounting. The system can do what you were able to do at that moment, but with your experience, the software is now going to learn like a human. It's a human who made the software. So there's always a possibility of the human to add on, to challenge the system, to like scan.
We spoil it and then we get called.
Oh yes, or make it much better, and maybe the person who made the software will come now recruit you so to continue evolving. So there's always
a positive in the end.
Yes.
Jimmy, are we being realistic, or are we just saying this because it hasn't faced us yet?
No,
Maybe the next day when it hits us, that's when we'll say, so this is what these people are facing.
And when it hits us, you'll be amazed what comes out.
Yeah.
You know, necessity is the mother of innovation, like they say. You'll be amazed when you push to the wall solutions that you can think of. So the question is actually, what places, what spaces are we creating for such people to find a place where they can freely go and have their ideas flow and be turned into a solution? And it takes me back to our education system. Are we preparing these people to just wait for a job? Are we preparing these people to critically think and look around themselves and find problems that they can actually solve? And I think we still have quite a number of problems around ourselves. So I still believe that it's not a problem, but it's an opportunity actually to see more innovation coming out. How can we take advantage of the TVETs that we have, maybe to give after class or weekend kind of spaces where people who are not able to maybe pay for that school fees that you need just come in for free and they're exposed to these machines, and you'll be amazed at the ideas that come through.
I like the way you say when and how. And it brings us to the question of, when are we going to do the things that he's saying? What are we waiting for? What is stopping us? When you talked of creating the synergies where you can have the innovators working hand in hand with the implementers, working hand in hand with those who now are custodians of this, when are we going to do that?
It comes back to the awareness and telling the people that do not know that the fourth industrial revolution is here, and the good that comes with this, and actually the bad that could come if you're not prepared. The government is doing its part. Then how do we actually spur that? You know, that's the question. How do we prepare these minds? I have a team of employees that I always encourage to go on Casella. We have courses online. We have, you know, so that they can learn the next new thing. They can, and I think we all need that joint effort to carry out a good awareness for our brothers and sisters. If we lie and we forget that actually it can be challenging, then it will catch up with us. But if we can know that the world is changing, the government is doing its part. It's putting the infrastructure. It's providing the enabling environment that we all need to go to the next level. Then I'm afraid what we are fearing may happen. But I'm glad that we are here and we are debating this. So I think we are paving the way
for that conversation.
Yes.
Talking about awareness, we just last Saturday on 30th, we did what we call MYICT.
Yes.
MYICT is part of the awareness that Girls in ICT Rwanda is doing to prepare young girls to take part in this industrial revolution. And we are amazed by the projects of these kids can actually come up. 15 years old, 14 years old. We received over 130 applications for this project, and the person who actually won had a very great innovation, which is part of the industrial revolution that we're looking at. It's a system that uses sensors to see the soil, if it's dry or wet, and it can tell the system of irrigation to either start irrigating or to stop, just by using the sensors. So, and this kid is just like 20 years old. So I'm not afraid of the future, because I'm sure with awareness and with involving the young children, we'll get to where we want to be.
Right. So is this industrial revolution for us or for the future generation?
It starts with
us.
us.
Enjoy it?
We are enjoying it already. We are enjoying
The
it.
Internet of Things.
Just let me give you an example.
Yes.
People used to go to the bank once in a week just because there was a line. That's number one. Because time it took for you to actually drive to the bank, take a line. But now you can go to the bank more than 5 times a day because you just use your phone to transact, to send money, to receive, to buy things. You're visiting the bank virtually. So you are enjoying the 4th industrial revolution in a way that you don't know. People don't know that we're already in the process. As you said,
it's already here.
It's already here.
Yeah.
I wanted to add on what Merab said, initiatives around that are promoting this industrial revolution. Like she said, promotion of, girls to join the STEM and technology fields, but also the Smart Africa Initiative. It's one of the key initiatives that is spearheaded by Rwanda, but which is really taking not only Rwanda, but the region and member countries to another level using technologies, whereby we'll be having smart cities, smart education, smart businesses, smart health.
Is this a shared dream by our regional leaders, really?
Yes.
Because most people watch their TVs and the news, and what they see is just different. They do not see their leaders talking about this.
It's something that is starting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's now operational in Rwanda. The Smart Africa Secretariat started in January this year, and people are enjoying calling for free in Uganda, some in South Sudan, under one area network. That's part of the Smart Africa that we are looking at, whereby you'll be traveling all over Africa one day and don't be asked to buy a SIM card once you are in a different country. And I see that as, yes, the revolution that we are talking about right now.
And how do we do it as a unified continent? Because you talked of the Smart Africa, not just Smart Rwanda. We're talking Smart Africa. If we want to pull together, and it is said that Africa actually stands a higher chance of leading the 4th industrial revolution. We have all that it takes to be the leaders in this. But are we taking that, fully head on? How can we do that? Let me hear from you as well.
Thank you. And I really like this question because this is what wealth is going to be about. Africa is full of potentials and very huge resources, but we can't exploit it adequately. And with ICTs, we see many ways of really making values of those resources and have Africans now benefiting from them. So this is really a potential energy that is going to drive that transformation that we are looking at.
Right. Potential energy that is going to drive what we're looking at, but also a very easy one that can also slip off our hands. So how do we ensure that it doesn't? We hold it firmly and run away with it as a continent.
I think it's doing what Rwanda is doing and taking the first step and the courage to just launch out. They provided the infrastructure. Now can we, the private sector, come on one of the best universities in technology is here, CMU. And what is it doing? It's breeding and bringing up the best of Africans in the technology space. So when the other governments come and they're able to see what we are doing with the Rwanda Online, the e-government portal, and they see the benefits of actually serving the citizens, these are good examples that I believe that the other governments will be able to borrow and take to the next level. Because the question is, how are we using these solutions to serve the citizen, whether in the private sector, whether in my business? I'm trying to ask my question, how can I serve my client better? Just like government is saying, how can I serve my citizen better? You know, so I think the question is, I mean, it's beautiful that Rwanda has taken the first step, and the other East African countries will come, and I believe one day we'll see a unified Africa, because we have great potential in the population of the young youth that we have. You know, we have growing economies, growing population in Africa. We have untapped resources that need these technologies. But of course, it comes back to how many can access internet, how many can afford energy. Have we distributed energy to all these African countries, or which African country is producing what we need, and what are we producing that we can, you know, I hope and believe that one day we can arrive at that place where we can share the limited resources, or the many resources that we have for the benefit of all Africans.
Right. Are we going to be talking about this, to ask ourselves these questions in the coming few days of, you know, how do we make doing business environment, especially when it comes to encouraging these ICTs, and the cost of doing business? Because some people say, I have an industry that has this machine that has to operate and produce this more, but I can't be able to run it because power is this expensive, water is not there all the time, or these times. I'm going to deal with this because these are some of the stumbling blocks in achieving this dream.
Sure. And I think when we talk about smartness, there's also always that component of the green economy, green energy. Because that's a component of the smartness. If you want to be smart, you know also how to save the nature. So Ali, he mentioned things of 3D printing. That technology, it's not only an amazing technology that is bringing a possibility of having this chair made in some few hours and not having someone cutting woods or that. It also made in a way of optimizing resources. So 3D printing is helping us save forests. So, you know, that's how technology is coming in, making us more smart.
Right. And at government level, I hope you're having conversations on how to support such industries, such businesses in terms of their costs, cutting down their costs, if it is electricity, if it is power, if it is water, that they have that constantly.
Sure.
These conversations we're having?
We're already experiencing this with the economic blocks coming together. Those are some of the advantages that we are reaping as a result of governments putting their forces together and, you know, find joint solutions to challenges that they share in the region.
I have a final question for all of you. Cameras, lights, mics off. Talk to me. When someone used to tell you when you were young about Industrial Revolution, some of the fears that you always had about this, what was your fear?
My fear would be I would lose a job. I don't know I don't know how this whole thing is going to happen. I don't know what is going to happen tomorrow, you know? You have this fear of like, things are just going to be automated. Am I going to fit in the society? Am I going to be able to do other things like other people are doing?
That was your fear?
That is still the fear of most people.
Right.
Yes.
You still have that with you. Right. Madam Josephine, what was your fear? Even when you're growing up, or even at the age you are today, what has been your fear when it comes to Industrial Revolution?
Well, myself, the way I am, when I fear, I start think of
solution.
Yeah, solution.
You're so smart.
So I'm like, if it happens, what will I do? So that's why I even say, will I like face that technology that is kicking me out, or will I do something to compete it? So I think I'm still that way. So the way it comes, I'm thinking, what will I do? And
You always find a
You
way
always
out.
find a way.
So no fear, in other words,
No,
zero.
no.
Jimmy,
I want to be part.
yes, what has been your fear, even when you're growing up or where you are today? What is your fear when it comes to Industrial Revolution?
The adrenaline in me is actually the excitement
Yeah,
that
exactly.
comes with
Right,
it,
right.
rather than the fear. And the question, not the fear, is what can I do to be part of it? What can I do to afford it?
Yeah.
What should I study to be in line with it? But not to shun it, but to say, what's the beautiful thing that is going to come with this technology? And I think that's one of the reasons that spurred me on to open a business,
Yeah.
because I believe that technology is an enabler,
Yeah.
and it makes work and life easier.
Easier.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for being on the program. Thank you for being honest. I wish I had a lie detector though, to be precise. Can I tell you what my fear has always been?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's no fear.
Please.
There's no fear in
Can I
technology.
tell you what I used to fear
Yeah.
when I was growing up? I used to watch The Terminator,
Mm-hmm.
and I would be scared that in future robots will take over, and we humans will have nothing else to do in the world. That has always, or was, my fear.
Why wouldn't you turn into a robot instead of being a robot?
Can you imagine Eugene Anangwe the robot? How would I be talking?
I'll be a
This is
friend to
Eugene
the
Anangwe,
robot.
and we are done out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. We'll see you again on Wednesday. We have a very serious conversation on Wednesday. Of course, it has to do with disaster and risk management and assessment. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. See you 9 p.m. right here on Royal TV. Goodbye for now.